Hello and welcome to day 6 out of 7 of this YouTube challenge I'm calling 7 Days to Build That Business. We are almost to the finish line, you guys, and if you haven't had a chance yet, go back and look at those last few videos. We covered so much ground. That's gonna make today way easier to manage. Every single one of those videos is foundational for you to get to today's topic, which is content marketing. Yep, this is a hot topic. There's a lot of different ways to take this, but I have 2 goals for us here today. Number 1, I wanna make this really simple so that you're not overwhelmed and you can actually execute. And there's a lot of content out there telling you how to create content. The only thing different is the approach that's being taken. And number 2, I think my theme throughout this entire series has been focus on the customer, focus on the audience, help solve their problems first. Don't make it about you. I want your content to speak to their soul. I want your content to be exactly what they are looking for. I want your content to speak so clearly to these people that it makes them give you their money, okay? So if you've seen all those videos about copying the top performers in your industry's content, looking at viral clips and all of this stuff, we are not talking about that today because our goal is gonna be focused on creating brand authority, making you the trusted expert in your field, and generating some leads, okay? So let's jump in. Okay, so to kick things off with, what I'm gonna break down today is the steps, all the way from the content idea phase all the way to execution. I'm gonna give you an example of how this applies with my business to give you some kind of idea. And also I'm gonna show you how I use ChatGPT to do some of this because let's face it, ChatGPT and all AI is here to stay, so how can we use it and maximize it to our advantage? You should probably have a human element to your content creation because humans speak to humans and we need to figure out how to take what ChatGPT gives us and make it personal, make it connect a little bit more deeply with our audience. Part number 1 is extremely important because if you don't have this defined, all of your content's gonna suffer. Part 1 is all about setting clear content goals that align with your business goals. So a lot of people care about followers, but really, how does that matter if you're talking to the wrong people? Why does that matter if you get 200,000 followers that aren't spending any money with you? Here is a list. I want you to choose 2 main objectives for your content. In the first column, I want you to choose one objective that is focused on your branding. In the second column, I want you to focus on revenue and money. In the first column, you've got brand awareness. Creating brand awareness is really just about how to get your name out there and make it widely known across a wide group of people. I don't know if that's what we want for our first 90 days, because remember, we are trying to get quick cash. We need to start making money in this business so that we can fine tune it and make our business even better. Brand identity. This is really about creating a loyal fan base. This is where you tell your stories, really focus on the brand identity as a whole. Number 3 is grow your follower count. Yeah, like I said, you can have 200,000 followers and none of them buy from you. So is that worth it? I'm not sure. Number 4, brand authority. This is where you put out thought leadership content. This is where you are seen as a trusted resource. You're building credibility and you look like the expert in your field. That's the one I highly recommend that you guys choose. And number 5 is building community. I do think community has a place. I think right now our focus is trying to get an influx of people and eyeballs to our name, but community I think is extremely important later down the road. On the other side, we've got generating qualified leads, right? People who actually are interested in what we have to offer and are willing to spend money with us and get on a call. We can drive website traffic. We can increase sales. That would be like an example of a Black Friday type of content goal. Number 4, improve retention, upsell, cross-sell. This is good once you know what your average lifetime value is of a client, but that's a different conversation for a later time. And focus on lead nurturing. I think that's important, but if we don't have leads, how are we gonna nurture them, right? So up to you on how you wanna go about this. I highly recommend if you're starting out in your first 90 days, let's go with brand authority. And let's go with generating quality leads. In our second part of this, I want you to pick 2 to 3 metrics that you're gonna track for these 2 goals. And I've given you a quick list and example here. So if we're going with brand authority, we're really focused more on how many people are saving our content, are sharing our content, are engaging and asking questions in the comments. We're looking at that level of engagement. So that means you want to have some call to actions in your content that are specifically asking people to save, share, comment, stuff like that. On the other side, if we are trying to generate qualified leads, one of the metrics that we need to be tracking for sure is booked calls. If you are depending as a service-based business for people to book a time on your calendar, this is something we need to track over time. After you got your metrics and your goals and all of that squared away, we are now on part 2, and this part is about deciding what you're gonna be saying in your content. So first part of this is we've got 90 days to work with, which is 3 months, which is 12 weeks. Simple enough, right? We're gonna take those 12 weeks and I want you to come up with a list of 12 of the most common struggles, challenges, problems that your audience has. These are problems that either stop them from moving forward in life. These are problems that they come to other people to help answer because they are stuck themselves. These are questions and problems that are keeping them up at night with stress. These can come from ChatGPT if ChatGPT already knows your business idea and your audience. If you've talked to ChatGPT before about everything else regarding this business, that's going to be very helpful. If not, you may have to really fine tune it and tell them who the target audience is that you're looking at, who's your buyer persona, so that ChatGPT has the memory to give you a really good answer. I want you to decide on what is the best way that you are going to communicate this via your content. What I mean by this is, are you gonna be educating people? Are you gonna be inspiring people? Are you there for entertainment? For me, it's a little combination of education and inspiring. Are you gonna wanna set yourself up as an expert in that field? Then yeah, you're gonna have to educate a little bit. These are gonna be like how-tos and tutorials and guides, stuff like that. Inspirational, this is more like that feel-good content that motivates them to like get up and start doing, okay? If you know that those two are the ways that you wanna communicate this, once you have your list of 12. And I want you to figure out if there's a way to categorize them. What I mean by this is buckets, okay? So like you'll probably notice that, oh, like several of these could fall under this column, and then some of these could fit over here under this type of stuff. And for me, what that really came down to and looked like are people really struggle with generating leads and sales. People really struggle with trying to figure out their marketing plans and content. People really struggle with having systems in place early on that they can scale and keep things organized. Those are my 3 buckets. You may have heard that term before, like content pillars. That's another way to say that. I like buckets because it visualizes putting things into it. You have your list of 12 challenges. You've got your 3 or 4 buckets. I do want to say one of your buckets should have some kind of connection to the brand, you. For me, that looks like having another pillar or another bucket that's about entrepreneurship, behind the scenes content, you know, showing you how I run my business. So it's a little more focused on me. I want that to be the bucket where you tell your side of the story, your brand vision, your identity as a brand in your business. And that's where you connect a little bit more casually to your audience. So now that you have all of that, we need to figure out where you're gonna be saying all this stuff. I highly recommend deciding on one long form and one short form piece of content. Your long form is most likely gonna be YouTube or a podcast or blogging. Those are the 3 buckets that those fall under. For short form, take your pick between YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok. You wanna pick something that you like to be on. I only say that because a lot of times people think, well, if I'm gonna be working with professional businesses, I need to be on LinkedIn. Yeah, I do think that's a really good and important place for you to show up. Like, I need to show up there as well. But those same people that are on LinkedIn are also all over the place everywhere else. It's the mindset that they're in when they're in that platform versus when they're on LinkedIn. So you need to make that decision for yourself. I always say pick something you like first, simply because you're gonna be the one on there. You wanna make it sustainable, and content creation is already hard enough that if you choose a platform you're not comfortable with, you hate being on, it's not gonna make it worthwhile for you. So first pick something you like, and then also pick the method or the way that you would talk to that audience when they're in that mindset. What we're gonna be doing with our short form content, because that can be a little bit hard to grasp, your short form content is simply gonna be a place where we put like some B-roll that you're probably gonna film, like 15 seconds or something, and text over it. Makes it really, really easy to kind of kick things off the ground when you're overwhelmed with all the million things you have going on. So I'm not gonna expect you to do much editing. You can also do like picture carousels, things like that. So those are gonna be the most easiest short form content pieces I highly recommend. Your focus for this entirety of 12 weeks is gonna be on your long form content, okay? You're gonna spend at least one day a week. You're gonna crank out one long form content, at least one per week. If you wanna batch it, or if you can do more, that's great. But this is gonna be the focus that you're gonna put out every single week without fail. Now we're gonna plan out our calendar. So I want you to take those 12 struggles, and for every week, you're gonna have one of those struggles that's the focal point of all of your content. So you're gonna be creating one long form, let's say that goes out on Monday, and you're gonna have 4 content pieces that are short form going out every other day on your social media. You're basically using that long form as inspiration for everything else. When we do this, for me, I said, I'm gonna be educational, I'm gonna be inspirational, right? Those are my 2 big things. Since I'm making 4 pieces of content, I want 2 of them to be educational and 2 of them inspirational. And I'm gonna flip-flop back and forth between those 2. And then 1 that is business focused, branding focused, something that tells my story so that people can connect with me. So all in all, you're gonna have 5 short forms. Again, all of them are B-roll with some text overlay, or they're gonna be some random pictures. You can use something like free stock images online, but I'm gonna show you an example. This is what I don't want. This is a little better. One looks really, really fake. The other one looks a little bit more organic, more authentic, and it looks like maybe you could have actually filmed this yourself. So if you're putting this stuff on social media, please don't put this one that looks super, super fake, okay? The reason I chose B-roll with some overlay text is because that's easy to do, and you can do it directly in that social media of choice. Pexel is a really great place to get stock footage. You can use CapCut. They do have a free version for your long form content and your short form, but you can really do all of that directly into the app itself that you're gonna post on. And once all of this is said and done, I want you to go back and look at the content that did really well. Make notes of all the ones that were top performers, and then I want you to double down on that after that 90 days, okay? Double down, make sure that you are like doing more content just like that, because clearly your audience is telling you that they want that. Really focus on that, and I just want you to keep the momentum going after all of this is said and done. When you get 90 days in, it's a lot easier to push through and keep going. So I really highly recommend that that's encouraging for you throughout this entire journey. So a quick recap, we are going to take 12 struggles and challenges that our audience is facing. We're going to create one long form content piece every single week for 12 weeks that's going to tackle one of those struggles that they're facing. And we're gonna create 5 pieces of content. You're gonna pick a piece of that video or that content out, and you're gonna talk specifically about that one thing. You wanna make sure you are posting every other day in your short form. I want you to engage as much as possible when people comment back, say something to them, and recognize the attention that they took to write that comment. And then when all is said and done, double down on the things that worked and do more of that. I really hope that this helped. And if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. Download my free checklist. That's gonna guide you through this entire process. And it's gonna cover some of the bullet points of what we've talked about the first 5 days. Please stick around for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a really easy one. It's the softwares that we're gonna talk about and the systems behind your business. I'm really leaning on all free tools. So I really hope that that helps you take action and get started and start implementing all of the stuff that we talked about this week. Thank you so much, you guys, and I hope to see you in day 7. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.